Get in, nerds. We are playing Victoria 3. We got a couple things to handle before we unpause. The first is I'm once again short on bureaucracy. So, are any of my states short on bureaucracy? No. So let's put a few more government sectors here in Navarra. Increase that. Yeah, population's reasonably heavy here. We'll throw those in at the top of the queue. And we'll unpause and we'll watch as the East Indies, formerly the Dutch East Indies, explodes, which it should do soon. So basically, we should expect to see a lot of breaking off of these other islands from Java. The East Indies will turn into Java. This is typically what happens, and then other areas break off. Investment rates in Costa Rica. No, thank you. There we go. Yes. Okay, so they've turned into Java, but they've held a bunch of territory. So typically this area breaks off into Tidor, which is what it once was. Alright, and yes, Sumatra has been properly formed by Aceh, which is also delightful. Commander commends Civic Coalition. Alright, we got an election popping off. General de Quiros has made public statements in support of the Moderate Party, bringing into question the political neutrality of the military. It is my duty to defend the nation and its interests. Politics is as much a part of war as battles and logistics are. I don't see the problem with doing my duty and doing what I can to make sure those who are best fit to serve the nation end up being the ones in charge. He's a Democrat. He can say what he wants. Reprimand him, good soldiers don't give orders, they take them. Or if he likes politics so much, he ought to get more involved. He becomes the leader of the group. Let's make him the leader of the armed forces. That'll be fine. So how's the election looking? Democratic Progressive Party is looking like it's going to have a majority, but it's got a lot of momentum. Traditionalist Communion and Progressive Party are each going to have about 25%, the way things are looking, and the Moderate Party is going to have the remaining 8%. So I really want to increase the proportion of that going to the Progressive Party. Because again, I don't necessarily want the Traditionalist Communion in power. Have we gotten... We've gotten Home Affairs up to level 4. Beautiful. You know what? I don't... Did I already convert all of the... Yes, I did. We're all using filing cabinets. In a pro-suffrage gesture, Damaso Fernandez has released a positive endorsement of the Progressive Party for its stalwart support of voting rights in Spain. There is no issue in our constitutional monarchy greater than that of the franchise, that method through which the people may decide any future issue which comes their way. With this in mind, my endorsement should come to no surprise. The Progressive Party is the guardian of the Spanish franchise, 30% momentum, or perhaps some party members more than others, 20% momentum, but the rural folk get stronger. I'm going to take the momentum in this case, because momentum is permanent, and 5 years of party strength is only for 5 years. So with equal momentum, it looks like the Progressive Party will be potentially a little bit weaker than the Democratic Progressive Party, but not much. I think if I can get above 35%, I can have a reasonably solid minority government. So I think that's going to be my target. A rational discussion. While meeting to discuss ideas, José Miguel Zapata and Baldomero Valdez enjoyed a civil and enlightening conversation. Most expected a brawl. Some say opposites attract, and others say opposites repulse. A few understand that one of the natures of opposites is change. Fire and water to steam, spark and gunpowder to explosion, heat and ore to metal. And so it is with the good faith debate, a leap in thought to form fresh, new ideas. Liberal civility is the way forward, 20% momentum to the Progressive Party. Or, Jose Miguel Zapata's conduct ought to be commended, 10% momentum, and he gains the honorable trait. Interesting. Or even the opposition should be heard, 20% momentum to the Moderate Party. I'm just going to throw as much momentum in the way of the Progressive Party as I can. Alright, yes, with about equal momentum, they're going to be about equal voter turnout, so I think that's reasonably solid. We'll see if we can get agrarianism before the election kicks off. Oh my gosh, Albania survived. Be friends with me. Beautiful. Alright, so what does that do to the investment pool? Investment pool is acting just like it's been acting. That's just fine. Yep. Looking good. Looking good. Alright. So, I think I'm going to be pleased with the outcome of this election. Let's throw a few more railways in territories that need more infrastructure. So South Sumatra surely does. Doesn't have a railway yet. North Sumatra does as well. Does not have a railway yet. Aceh proper has a railway. It is... Java's embargoing us, alright. Aceh is good. What about Johor? Johor is close. Do you have a railway already? It is. It's fully employed. We'll expand it. Now, West Borneo has a railway, but it's not functioning, so expanding it is not going to help. East Borneo, shortage of infrastructure, has a railway. Railway is not hiring, so that's not going to help. North Borneo does not have a railway. Has infrastructure here. It's close. I'm going to build one. Could I build up coal supplies in either of these? Yes, I can build up coal in East Borneo to supply that railway. That's going to make that railway more productive. We'll throw that in at the top. Partisan papers. Party-affiliated newspapers have been proliferating during this election season. Publications associated with the Progressive Party have been particularly effective in spreading the party line. Read all about it. Honest politicians attacked by shameless cowards. Leading candidate for office issues heartwarming appeal to the common man's heart. Man on campaign trail pets a puppy. Read all about it. The Progressive Parties use the papers brilliantly. 10% momentum, or newspaper circulation is through the roof. This is a boom for publishers. 20% paper mills throughput. I'm going to give the Progressive Party momentum. I think that's going to put them in the majority. Yes, it looks like it should. Beautiful. And that is what we need, because we need them to get... Ooh, company's losing prosperity. Gosh darn it, Castile Foods. What's going on with the price of groceries? Sell some liquor to Japan. Sell some liquor to various small markets. But groceries. What about groceries? Not a lot of good options for increasing exports. Sell some to Japan, some to America. Should help at least a little bit. Is Castile short on market access or something? Gold depleted in Guyana. Beautiful. Alright, that's an election. So I could get a more legitimate government by pulling in the petite bourgeoisie and industrialists, but again, I don't wish to do that. I think I'm happy right where I am. Goldfields depleted. The rich mineral deposits in Spanish Guyana have been drained. Mines are being shuttered, and all the prospectors who moved in are beginning to drift away in search of the next big strike. Alluvial gold dried up, miners go home. River dried up due to miner activity. Shafts condemned as threat to life. Entered on peril. Trespassers will be shot. Survivors will be shot again. Unfortunate. Reduces migration attraction, or we can't just let them leave. Reduces migration attraction less, but makes laborers more radical. I'm going to say we can't just let them leave, because I don't want to reduce the population in Spanish Guyana. Not right now, when there's gold to be mined. Because that does open up gold mines. I'm once again short on bureaucracy. It's expanding trade. That's what's straining my bureaucracy. Alright, I'm going to throw 5 government sectors into construction. We'll get those built fast, and that's... I wondered if it was something like that. I may need to, in fact, build ports. Badajoz definitely needs to be looked to. I can always use more logging camps. How's infrastructure? Infrastructure will tolerate some more logging camps, that's for sure. Alright, beautiful. That should give me a little bit of extra bureaucracy. What about Badajoz? Badajoz could definitely have... Yeah, we'll do 5 levels of bureaucracy here as well. And we'll need a railway. And that should do just wonderfully in increasing the size of the... and increasing the standard of living there, because I'm directly paying the people to do work for me, the government. For me, it's a me, the government. Oop. I goofed up, I want that at the top. So that's Sokoto. France, are you going after Sokoto? France, you're going after Sokoto. What are you... Oh, wow. Oh, wow. France. France, you're becoming infamous. Nobody likes you. Except for me. I'm trying to like you, I really am. Trying to become friends and do all the things that a friend would do. Sokoto backs down. Dang. Impressive. Labor movement is pretty shouty. Labor movement, what do you want? What do you desire? You would be fine with consumption-based taxation. You would prefer to have a welfare state of some kind. You would prefer to have public health care. Alright. I can work with this. I can work with the labor movement. There's definitely work to be done that could benefit the labor movement. Well, look at this. What do we have here? A Dominican uprising against Cuba happening in Puerto Rico. Alright. That's alright. Let me see. They've got some kind of army. They've got a real army over there. Alright. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. We'll send the Spanish Expeditionary Force and the fleet. And when the time comes, we'll invade the country and take back the island. How long is it going to take to build these gold mines? It's going to take a long time. I'm going to need to finagle stuff. But that's okay. Steady increases in the standard of living is very, very good for us because, again, high standard of living is our consumption-based taxation regime is going to depend on high standards of living to create a lot of demand for, like, a wealthy populace creates demand for the types of goods that are easy to put consumption taxes on that don't take too much authority. Things like tobacco and opium and other stuff. Stuff like that. Nice. And there's Pan-Nationalism. Beautiful. I don't think I can form Iberia right now. I can. Beautiful. The union of Portugal with all the former kingdoms of Spain, of the Spains, has brought about a unified Iberian peninsula. The tolling of the bells often heralded tragedy in the peninsula, war, plague, fire, and death in their wake. But not today. On this auspicious day, with a blazing sun overhead, the two kingdoms reunited in a shower of blossom petals. United in royal matrimony, bonded by revelry, and shouldered with the might of a golden legion, a glorious future awaited Iberia. A glorious union. 25 prestige for 19 years, gains a claim on Eastern Andalusia. Beautiful. That's British territory. If Britain goes to war with France, I may take a run at grabbing it back. Beautiful. All right. Oh, what a nice flag. It's interesting. Much more straightforward than the standard flag of Spain. But yeah, well, that'll make the thumbnails potentially easier if I can figure out how to get. I may need to just kind of ballpark the shades, but that's all right. That's completely reasonable thing to be doing. How's the investment pool? Investment pool is not doing super hot. This is kind of expected under agrarianism because we're getting less from the industrialists, from capitalists, and capitalists are the ones who do the most investing. Untrained hands. Children working in the furniture manufactories in eastern Andalusia have suffered injuries trying to operate the machinery used in production. After examining the boy's hand, the doctor sat back down, turned to the mother, and sighed deeply. Well, I'm afraid your son is never going to become a great musician, he said, but then again, perhaps this was never one of his more likely prospects. Keep children off the factory floor, reduce dependents' income, or these new industries and all the employees they can get. Angry intelligentsia, angry trade unions, extra mortality. I'm going to keep children off the factory floor. That just seems like good sense. Let's go ahead and put the logging camps by the hogs at the top of the queue. That's the uprising popping off, so let's invade. Beautiful. Ah, that's beautiful. How's the battle going? Battle's going well. Nice pickle halb. Fidel de Cespedes. Ooh, ironclad. Ooh, that's going to be very good. That's going to increase our prestige by a lot. I'm not going to hit the upgrade button quite yet, because I'm in the middle of a naval invasion. But after that, I'll hit that upgrade button, and that'll be real nice. Winds of Change. Navarra has come a long way since our attention was first brought to it, going from small houses and scattered farmlands to being on its way to becoming a blooming metropolis. The woman sighed. Her old hands stopped crocheting for a second. When I was younger, all of this was farmland. Us kids would just play freely in the fields, not having to worry about getting hit by a cart or those criminals coming to get us, and we still had time to work. Well, Grandma, now people have even more places to work at. Finally, Navarra shines like never before, 25% loyalists from political movements in Navarra, or this is not the end, extra urban center throughput. I'm going to go with the first one. I basically always do that. Alright, so now I need to focus on building up. Something like ties with Argentina lost. That's interesting. I wonder what's up with that. I think now I need to focus on building up steel output. Yeah, I definitely need that. So we're going to do a lot of that here in Castile. I'm going to need an extra 10 levels. And I'm going to need another 2 levels of railways. I've got a little bit of authority to play with. I think I will throw these gold mines in at the top of the queue. And I'll just temporarily put a road maintenance decree here in Guyana. Alright, there we go. That's the secession ended. And that should make construction efficiency a tiny bit better. Yeah, it's not great, but it's doing its best. Alright, let's get those man-o'-wars upgraded, and we'll station this fleet back at the HQ just to get them to properly upgrade. So this means I need to take some of my naval base, my military shipyards, and get them producing the correct type of ship. We'll take the low employment ones and do that. That should produce enough. Actually, I can't do that with too many. Steamship. Okay, so steamships would make these more profitable. Kind of. Not really, but you know, we gotta have a bit of both. Oh, the food company has fallen apart. Well, that's a shame. I genuinely thought my food industries were going to function, but apparently not. Let's worry about that at a later point. I want to focus on this other stuff. We're also going to need to increase glass output by quite a bit. But potentially not too much. Okay, so now they're productive. Oh, they're because they reduced the size. Well, that's just curious. I don't really know what to do about that. So Galicia could have a little bit more glass industry. Extremadura as well. So there's ironclads. A doctrine of iron and steam. The introduction of vessels with metal-skinned hulls represents nothing less than a revolution in naval warfare. Near impervious to traditional types of shot, Admiral Mateo Escoda assures us that Iberian domination of the seas will be absolute. While wooden ships with iron men might beat iron ships with wooden men, it sure doesn't hurt to have the armor on our side. This will make our line of battle invincible, extra Navy defense. Metal bows, metal rams. What could go wrong? 20% Navy offense. Or Iberia rules the waves. 10% prestige from Navy power projection. How much of our prestige is from Navy power projection to start? A lot of it. Really a lot of it. 198. So if I give you this, it's 10%. It's going to be 20 extra prestige. It's not that much. This will make our line of battle invincible. Being able to win wars is more important than prestige. Schleswigian radical revolt will offer us military assistance. No thank you, but I'm curious as to... They would be willing to become a protectorate. What are our prospects in a war against Prussia? Prussia has just an oodle of battalions, a real acre of them. Are they modern, though? Is the question I need to ask. We certainly can tolerate a long war better than they can. Their army is modern. So let me see. If we do a full mobilization, I don't think that's worth it. I don't need Schleswig-Holstein. I'm reputable right now, and I've just formed Iberia. I'm feeling very pleased. Hamburg, you know, I don't need to invest in you. A little shortage of ironclads, but now that there's a market, that should be fine. Now that we're buying ironclads, the shipyards should start producing them. Obviously, I've increased the supply of men of wars, so those are very cheap. But we can certainly export them. Beautiful. That's just beautiful. Ooh, and that full conversion to iron frame ships has put us in position 2 in the global power rankings in 1877. That's pretty stonky, friends, I gotta say. Agrarian Iberia has taken position 2 in the global power rankings. That's a rare and a historical outcome, and I'm feeling pretty full of myself about it, to be completely honest. To be real for a moment, I'm feeling extremely arrogant and completely overconfident in my own power. That's where I'm at with this situation. I don't think I can afford to go to consumption-based taxation yet. I need a higher standard of living before I do that. So once we get towards steel frame construction, what do we need after that? What do I need to get where I want to go? I'm definitely going to need dynamite. And then I'm going to need improved fertilizer. That's going to make our farming industry a lot more productive. After that, we'll grab threshing machines. That'll do the same, potentially, at least. And then pump jacks. That'll let us get a lot of stuff. I think after that... Do we go to vacuum canning, or do we blitz electricity? I think going to electricity is going to be next. Then we'll circle back around to vacuum canning. And then I think we'll just kind of clear out the rest of the tier 3s in production. So, how are we with innovation? We're doing all right. How much is flowing into tech spread? Not that much. I think it's a good time to build up some more levels of universities. And part of that is just, I want there to be, I want to get a very solid extra tech spread, because despite everything, we are still a little behind in tech, and we're benefiting a lot from tech spread, and having extra universities is really going to benefit us long term in terms of our ability to catch up and stay caught up with our competitors in the international world. Beautiful. Alright, how many levels of universities is that? That's 9 levels of universities. I can live with that. That's a good solid amount. Obviously we're gonna output a bunch of steel as well, but I think we'll go ahead and do that after. Because steel frame construction is not gonna get done. That's actually pretty close. Might be sooner than expected, but the extra universities will still be useful. I'm no longer building in Guyana, so I don't need the decree there. So let's throw in another consumption tax. We'll put this one on porcelain. Anti-Ottoman League demands action. The Anti-Ottoman League has requested that we embargo the Ottoman Empire. Successfully acting on this proposal will gain our government significant goodwill from the lobby. And to those who would refuse and prefer preserving the status quo, there was no hesitation. His response sounded well rehearsed because it was. This was a proactive man, one who spent hours pacing his chambers and anticipating attacks to come. My reply would be that we should never have allowed them to become so close to us in the first place. Our friendship built upon deceit is nothing at all, and the goodwill gained from it, illusory. We'll look into this, or this is not in our interest. Embargoing the Ottoman Empire. There are rivals, or they were once, no longer. This is not in our interest. In fact, I'll grow closer with them. Contentious topics. An event organized by the labor movement transformed into a brawl as opponents of the movement infiltrated the crowd. When the police arrived, no participant was willing to give a consistent statement. Many of them had at least one bruise, a cut lip, or a bloody nose. His was much less honorably obtained than most of theirs. He'd whacked his hip against the corner of a table when rushing for the exit, only to nearly run headlong into an approaching gendarme. 2 conflicting stories rose to mind. One he would tell to the detective, and one that he would tell to his friends. Give them all a day off in jail to cool off. Trade unions a little salty, or seek charges of the event's organizers. Trade unions very salty, weaker labor movement. I'm going to go with the first one. Trade unions slightly salty is just fine. Alright. Tuscany is damaging relations. Why is everyone in Italy so intent on us not being friends? I must ask you. Not everyone in Italy, but a lot of different countries in Italy. I must ask you, what is the utility of this? Oh my gosh, Luxembourg has become fully independent. Be pretty funny if I guaranteed their independence. That would be entertainment. Having some standard of living issues as well. Ooh, Coastal Defense Force is low on org. You know that means they're short a leader. Let me see. Yeah, we'll grab an armed forces guy. Language in the classroom. Hindustani students sometimes use their native language in Iberian schools. Some have called for teachers to penalize the use of these languages, forcing children to speak the official language of Iberia. You noticed it too, right? He gets angry when anyone talks in class, but he always gets angrier when we're talking. Maybe he thinks we're talking about him. I think he just doesn't like being reminded that we know something he doesn't. Schools should teach them the proper language, extra assimilation, 10% of Hindustani pops become more radical, increased radicalism for open prejudice and lower acceptance pops, or the language is part of their heritage, petite bourgeoisie mad, reduce radicalism for open prejudice and below pops, reduce assimilation. Schools should teach them to speak the proper language. This is a nationalist run, we're doing nationalism. It might not be sensible, but it's the thing we're doing right now. A foreign manifesto. The recently translated works of Carlos de Anxos have become popular within the Catholic traditionalist movement. The relationship has developed to the point of Carlos de Anxos openly endorsing the movement. And for a whole large class, there is no other road, especially for a nation so eminently practical as the Iberian. The great thing is to get the working class to move as a class, that once obtained, they will soon find the right direction, and all who resist will be left out in the cold with small sects of their own. The Catholic traditionalist movement. I'm not super worried about that. I could piss off and weaken the landowners. This foreign interference ought to be punished. Yeah, get out of here, the landowners. No one likes you. I've pissed off my petite bourgeoisie by alienating the Anti-Ottoman League, but they shouldn't be in the Anti-Ottoman League. That's not doing anything. Wow, I just had a spat of deaths among the among my ruling class here. Let me see. Any notable changes? We got a reformer heading up the intelligentsia. We got a radical heading up the rural folk. We got an authoritarian heading up the Catholic Church. And we got a protectionist heading up the Conservative Party, the Armed Forces. Interesting. We also have a Republican heading up the Industrialists, and a moderate aligning the petite bourgeoisie. So we're going to see a big realignment during the next election, friends, if this holds the way it is. Gifts among friends. An internal investigation has discovered that a government official received many gifts from Mark Vives on behalf of the Anti-Ottoman League. The official leading the investigation details his findings. Does Mark Vives have no integrity? Among the gifts sent, the following was found: half dozen parcels of cloth, a carving knife, a pocket knife, 5 pairs of gloves, 23 barrels of salt, and a dozen bottles of Iberia's finest colonia water. Is this not bribery in support of the Anti-Ottoman League's cause? The Anti-Ottoman League has done nothing suspect. 5% of petit bourgeois member pops become more loyalist. Or perhaps the leader should step down. Mark Vives resigns. 5 extra legitimacy. I'm going to go with that legitimacy. Tasty, tasty legitimacy. He steps down. Who's leading the petite bourgeoisie now? A protectionist. Oh, they're very salty now. They're very salty, and it's costing me bureaucracy. So I'm going to put up a little bit more bureaucracy. I think Aragon might... Nope, Aragon's got 5. Eastern Andalusia can have a couple. Couple of levels of government admin. And that'll be good. That having been said, that is all the time we've got for this episode, my nerds. Merry Christmas in game 1877. But that's all the time we've got. I've had fun. I hope you all have had fun. And I'll see you on the other side.